Yep. So, what we're going to just have a go at, and I haven't tried this, so this isn't a jack-up presentation. I don't know what we're doing. DJ had these at a presentation, and I was like, ooh. And so actually, I shouldn't say this. During this presentation, I Googled it, and I had ordered it by the time he had finished talking, and it arrived in the post about 3 days later. Really, really accurate, and this one goes up to 100 grams, and it's just the old fish scale type gadget. And then this is patented. This is really technical, this piece. I don't know how we were doing this. Maybe it was the other way around. But the idea is, I don't know how short this action is, but all we were doing was hooking it around the wire and then putting it on the scales. And then you can pull on them until the dampers come back. But you sort of need to have one eye here and one eye there. So there it is there. So that's at 60. If anybody wants to have a go, see what measurements you can get. It's a bit of a fiddle. We can get you a flash of
Let's do another one. I'll just take a photo.
You can play the note, Kevin, and that'll tell you when the damper lifts.
Oh yeah, we're doing spring strength at the moment.
Yeah, but
the raw spring.
Didn't you say you need one eye here and one eye
Oh,
there?
yeah,
Play
yeah.
the,
Right.
Use your ears to...
Alright. It's because it's a short action too. When it was, if we do the U3, I think it's going to be easier to measure. We did this once and then we haven't done it since.
So you just pulling it back till you see it.
Yep.
Pull off the string. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's the tension on that?
That's about 50. It's 50 there, and that's on a treble.
Yeah.
And then down here,
a big graduation, of course. Yeah.
we get 60. And these are Yamahas. I mean, they should be pretty mint. And it really shows up if you go and put a beel. Oh, hey, there's a beel in there under it. Oh, should have got the beel out.
It's not a piano. You're hooking at the barrel, right?
Yep, right under the barrel on the wire. Oops, 35. Yeah. Every time a coconut.
So what's that note?
F sharp, F4, somewhere around there.
Measure the same one on this because you jumped around a bit. Yeah. Just as a direct comparison.
50.
So 35 to 50.
35 to 50.
That's quite a big jump, isn't it?
60, so you could...
60.
That's an extra third,
Yep.
third of the weight added on.
I don't think there are any published figures for damper spring strength.
No.
I don't think.
I think it's if the felts are in nice condition and they're damping really, really well, you
Yeah.
probably want the spring as light as you can get it,
Yeah.
unless it's too light to play.
Yeah.
So the stronger they make that spring, the less they
45.
have to worry about the felts.
45.
See,
Hey, that was,
yeah,
I now
that's
see what I
right.
mean. I couldn't quite get it just about playing the note.
Yeah.
Flick
Yeah.
the string and then
you can
watch the gauge until the it's right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if I push the key, I'm going to bugger it all up.
Yeah.
But so that was actually 45 in the base. So that was 45 and
35.
35. And this is already at 50 and 60.
Yeah.
And that's, and you know, compared to striking a, I don't know, a Kingston or a Beale or a Pearl River or something, if you walk in to tune one of these, you're like, well, at least it's a Yamaha. But even then, there's a difference between these two. And then, so if you, have a go, I don't know if you all had a go, have a go at playing them to the halfway point. And the difference is huge between these two pianos. So, a trick, maybe, so if we just pick on middle C, wine frog.
Kevin,
Yeah.
do you just want to measure that? You're going to work with middle C.
Yes, I'll measure it.
Remeasure it first,
Okay.
then make the change.
Okay.
and we'll see what the difference is.
Okay, so we put him onto there. I'm sure we had some other piece of random bass string wire jigged for this. Now what do? We go. Turns off at 40 grams.
40.
You can feel it.
Yeah, so that's middle C, is it?
Yeah, hang on, what's that? What did we say it was last time? 50? My measuring's not that flash.
Oh, could have been, but you work with middle C at the moment.
Yep, middle C, yep.
So what's that, 40?
45.
45?
Yep. And we worked out that by, if you do need to weaken damper springs, just by using a shank, you can actually push against the spring and it basically weakens it.
Spring and in this case it's probably just that.
Yeah, it is.
What's that called? What's that green they use on the damper? It's kind of a...
Okay, so that one's already down to 40. What do we go for 35?
I don't recall Teflon. Oh, okay. Yeah, they'll look quite liquid Teflon.
Just rubbing the spring. But yeah, I'm having troubles getting in there.
Flat
Yeah,
piece of aluminium.
just pushing it in.
Yeah. And then,
You're normally on a screwdriver.
I find the easiest way, Kevin, is take the action out
Yeah.
and come in from the back with your heart spring tool.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
just,
yeah.
you can rub up and down.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I'm just doing it the boogie quick way.
So what's that front, middle C now?
The way you do it.
Yeah, I just I think I'll do one day. So I'm now down to 35 grams. So without changing the spoon timing, that's now 35, which is sort of what I reckon you want. I think you want 35 and 45.
oh yeah, huge difference.
Have a tot-too. That's the weekend word.
Yeah.
We don't know how to spell it. If anybody can tell. The other thing about really heavy damper springs is that within about 5 years you've squashed the treble felt, and then the dampers start to get noisy. And we had a whole thing with Yuji trying to get rid of dampers, zing and zzz and stuff. And, you know, that one there. Oh, it's the drum.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's got a bit of oink.
Yeah, and here's my one that I've just weakened. It's actually got less. It's nicer. It's still horrible, but it's nicer. So that's actually worked far better than I was thinking. I can't believe that's already worked. I was not sure about this idea of a presentation.
So, can you just measure the C4 and the U30?
Sure. Yep.
Just as a comparison. So you ended up with 35 grams in this U1J.
Yeah, I just weakened it
after,
to.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
We'll just see what if we've come close to that one.
I think this is normally 35.
And the technique you used, that would it be equivalent, Graeme? You said you'd pull the action and rub it from the back just like you would a grand repetition spring.
And you've got the heart spring tool
Yeah.
with
Yep.
a little kink and a little button with a notch in it.
Yep.
And you can come in from the back and just pull up and down and rub a little
Massage
bit.
it.
It's really quick if you're doing a whole set.
Yeah.
Trying to come in from the front is
It's less than 30,
is
eh?
like you
Oh,
do all
yeah.
sorts of stuff.
Oh,
So
right.
it's a good technique.
What is that, Kevin?
That was 30.
30.
But we did it with.
It's a different way of measuring it.
I strummed the string.
Just do it by eye how you
Okay, I just
want to do it. Because that's a
That was
totally different way of
That
measuring
was a
it.
great.
Graham,
one.
can I have a
Possibly
look
more
at that
accurate, but you'd have to
Hang
do
on.
the other one.
Yep, we were. Hang on, Brent. Hang on.
Let's
Go through the old manual.
Oh.
I got my little kinky one.
I can't watch them both at the same time.
So pull it out.
Yeah, until
And
there
then
is
when
40.
you go back, see when it starts to go
Trying
down.
to get a spring out.
Oh.
Yeah.
A couple of damper springs that come off one of the actions in the school. I was put it into one of those.
I can't really tell, but I get 40 with my eyeballs, and we got 38 with the listening.
Get a crush on
So it's got to be around 38, 40
I don't know where to get one.
on that one. What do we weaken that one to?
35.
35. So this one's at 38.
Go really slowly.
So there'll be much
Oh,
okay. This is way older.
And she's got every size.
So they were doing
but I carry one of mine. I carry one of mine.
It's got a little bit of a nib, but that's probably heartfelt. But,
What size is it? 2 mil, 3 mil?
but
I won't make a crochet.
yeah, that's. I think you could probably make something a little bit flashier than that, something a bit more easy to use. This end here should just. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, I know what we did. You can pop that plastic thing off, and that was originally well. I can't remember. But yeah, something like that. But has everybody seen one of these? Feel free to come and have a nosy. And then the other thing was
Graeme spring out.
damper timing to the spoon. I'll just go and get it.
Thanks for friction note
Now,
on the lift.
So the other thing that really destroys the touch of an upright, at least anyway, is when the damper engages to the keys treble. So, like we were going to be doing a wine bark this weekend, and they were notorious for coming out with really soft treble damper felt that squashes so far that now the tails are closer to the spoons. So now your dampers lift, just as soon as you start to lift. That's my little machine for checking damper timing. Everybody's got different ideas and tricks. I think I've made that a perfect little cube, so it doesn't matter which way around you do it, and I write on them, otherwise I don't know what they do after I've made them. And yeah, the little teapot, you sit it on the strings, and with the hammer on that, the damper should be just starting to lift. But I can see that damper's already about 3 mils off the strings. That one's about 2. So on this particular piano, the dampers are all lifting early. So if you want to take a bit more weight off it, we need to make the dampers lift later. This is older, it should be 89, 88, no, it's an 87. Wow, it's the first year they came out. Funny enough, timing wise, this is still identical to that one.
The Yamaha specification is 18 mil from the rest position, so
Yeah.
it should be correct then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the 20, is it? 20, 23
15.
from
I
the
always-
string.
15.
I do it half the. I thought it was half the bloater still.
Yeah, half low is the theory, but
Yeah.
Yamaha factory specification is 18 mil from the rest position, so,
Oh, so early.
much earlier than.
Oh, so
yeah,
then these are
that's
both exact spec.
I think that those
Yeah.
are the
Yeah,
correct for Yamaha.
Okay, so I've just made that.
String position.
I've made that 23 because blow distance is 46, so I just halved it. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that that's a 1 inch, so a 23 mil cube.
So probably 3 mil up with that device
Yep.
is correct for Yamaha basically.
Yeah. But if you just want to get rid of some of that extra weight off the keys, we're getting more and more elderly clients, as you might put it. So we're coming across this stuff all the time. Our most common things that we're dealing with at the moment is music teachers moving into retirement villages, downsizing their pianos. We've had a run on basically people bringing in grands against uprights. And elderly clients getting hearing aids and then phoning you up to tell you that it's a problem with the piano. But hearing aids just destroy the piano from here to here. Just absolute, because it's in the speaking range, which is what hearing aids are designed to amplify. They're not a flat EQ, they really have a big hump. But we had that problem for about 5 years, but now with the Bluetooth hearing aids, we're not getting those complaints because the audiologists program the hearing aids to, public, movie, piano, and then Clive down the road, he's got the big A120 Bechstein, the nice concert series one. He pulls his phone out and puts his ears onto piano mode and then plays the piano beautifully. If his wife walks into the room and talks to him, he can't even hear it. But the piano sounds amazing. I think Clive likes them so much. And then of course then the other one is elderly clients who think that their hands are no longer up to the grade to be able to play the piano. And that's why we keep coming across this, because especially if they've gone and bought a new piano. And of course, I bought a lovely Hupfeld made in Germany. No, you didn't. I know why it's got a heavy touch. But it's And Nathan's big on the whole subject now of, if this is what we're going to have to deal with more and more, we need to figure out how to make these ones as good as these ones. Yeah.
I have a question about measuring that.
Measuring this.
Measuring the spring strength
Yes.
of the damper spring.
Yep.
So you just put that in there and pulled on it. Now,
Yep.
if you wanted to recreate that on the bench, you would need to have it starting at the position that it's sitting on the strings.
Yep.
So how would you recreate that if you were to take that over to the bench and wanted to do your
You
test?
can put your block under the damper lift rod, and then it'll
Yes.
just bring the strings
Is that for
back.
adjusting
Yes.
the
So
springs?
how do you know where to put it though?
Mm.
We do a test on the piano.
And measure half
You
blind.
said you do a couple of settings. So
It
what
probably
I
doesn't
do-
matter so long as they're all
We
the
do
same.
it so
It's
that
just,
you don't
um,
use springs.
Play
Once you
play
reach
until
up
it's
the-
starting to
the
lift
rod.
And
chalk it
Close.
when it's
Yeah.
correct. Find
Oh,
the correct one.
Because you're
Do
only
another
gonna
one,
use how much
turn
you
back.
got.
chalk it, and one
Yeah,
on
you
the
wanna
treble. Chalk
Even
it.
Yeah,
though it's
And
not-
then you just
Yeah,
recreate
so
it
if
with
you
the
go-
little
the rest
Yes,
on the rod,
yes.
yeah, with a
Yep.
little
then that should do it.
Turnbuckle.
I think.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what you're doing
As
next.
if, as if you're doing spoon regulation.
Did you know that?
No, no.
I've got all the gear there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you after 6
I
beers.
got the gear, it's in the car.
Okay,
Turnbuckle
cool.
thing, but no, I'm not going over to the car to
No,
get
no,
it.
no, we're good to go. How are we doing for time? I've got no idea.
I suppose if
About
you
quarter
would,
past
11.
11.
Oh yeah, cool. So we do have time to do that.
know that it engages that
We,
certain
I'm just thinking,
widget up.
if we quickly flick this one out onto the bench, I'm sure we can weaken the springs pretty quick. If we wanted to do that as a bit of an exercise. Otherwise, the one that takes a while to get your head around is regulating the damper spoons, as in the damper timing to the key. It can be a bit of a mind bender, and Graham's turnbuckle trick is definitely the best.
Oh, yeah.
We have copied it and do that one all the time. So,
It's an Art Reblets. It was in an Art Reblets book.
That's
Oh,
right.
right. Old,
Yeah.
old, old book.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's
It's just the appendix
Fantastic.
to
Yeah, that's
first
right.
edition.
yeah.
oh,
But
wow.
as I was learning to muck around with spoons
Yep.
and getting frustrated, I found it,
Yeah.
and it's kind of the way I do it now. It's-
Mm.
The problem
Yep.
I have,
Smart.
I find, is that I like to do it in sections. Because if you set it up for the base,
So,
it can be
Yeah,
wrong
yeah,
for the
yeah,
top
yeah,
end.
slightly.
Yeah.
So,
So that's
yeah.
what I
Mm.
do.
Like
I
samples.
find I do a few adjustments just randomly on spoons and find one that's about correct
Yeah.
and mark one in each section or two sometimes, and then I'll set up the turnbuckle system
Right.
on the lift rod on the
that one's right.
crank, and then
Got one.
and then I will make adjustments.
Yeah.
Jam a rubber mute or something.
Yep.
And
That one's
yeah,
early.
that's
one
what
here was right.
So you can set, you
Yeah.
can muck around a bit,
Yeah.
set it up pretty close, yeah.
A lot of pianos these days,
Just wait.
if they actually allow it, I lean it forward and then
real
I just
quick.
reach over
Yeah,
and do it.
yeah,
And then
Early.
yeah, so you can.
you can get a feel.
Makes cool noise too.
And at the end, just touch up the few that are outliers.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And that can be, that's
So-
even quicker.
It is,
great.
yeah, you just do it.
Yeah, but some actions.
Oh, do we need
around
to sample?
room
We're
at
just
once.
gonna make
Oh,
a
you
lazy.
need to sample.
Prob-
Just chalk mark.
Yeah, I got that one at the end of the
one bar.
section.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's
very
Yeah, we've
to
done that,
exactly
we've
the
done
same
that, we've had
tension.
that.
Funny, the end of each,
Timing, the lift
yeah.
timing.
the,
So it would affect the
Oh,
lift
the
timing.
big-
whereas the
No,
tension.
no, what you were talking
Oh,
So
right.
notice
Yeah.
it's about half a mil later
oh,
where you'd adjust to the spring.
yes, because you're actually pushing it in hard to
Yeah,
begin with.
it'd probably affect the timing. to like
So that
half
one's
a mil.
right, that one's right, and everything else is early. Can you do that off the seat of your pants?
Sorry?
We can just sort of judge how much to wind it off, or do you want to set some samples in here and then take it
Can
out?
do the
What are we doing?
turnbuckle.
The spoon timing.
Spoon time, is it
Yeah.
out?
It's just early and we're trying to lighten it for the lady.
Oh, okay.
So this
Yeah,
one's
the
right, this
spring.
one's right to my gauge.
Yeah.
So just winks
Yeah, I
and then
see
that one
that.
there.
So,
just winks.
what I do with,
Turnbuckle.
for a client, and your wineback would be a great example.
Yeah, that's
They are
right.
typically quite
Grand
heavy.
Ridge.
Real heavy, yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
actually
him and
lighten them
Fro.
quite a bit, but you do have to watch
And then you link the
this,
two
this
together.
area.
Yep.
And just right
So
through,
that
so
make
all
sure that
springs are touching that.
you don't sort of leave it too late.
Where the
So
spring
that-
touches
but
the
I
damper
would
tail.
probably have Oh, yeah.
Always
The
say on the
wine bar,
soundboard.
I would probably take it. Those old ones.
Then
Yep.
if it
Yeah.
stops
I'd probably
winking,
do the lift timing at
if
about
it stops
there,
winking.
maybe.
So that is right. It's basically all through the squares.
Yeah.
That one's right and that one's right. And then you get into the middle of the base. Look at this.
Yeah, yeah.
That's early, but then I thought that.
I'll go and get my kit and we'll.
Yeah,
if you've
use
got
yours
the
if you-
turnbuckles.
Yeah,
but-
yep. Sometimes you get one where you can't get enough adjustment
Stop them from
to get
winking.
spoons going, and it can do your head in. But in that situation, if you jack your hammer rail forwards, it gives you more scope with the turnbuckle. I'm trying to think what situation it's in.
Oh, I see it.
But yeah, I have done that on the workbench before.
But do you find generally the hammer blow is a
Have you
little
got,
too long on, I see that all the time
Yeah.
on new pianos, it's too far, it's 2 inches.
Two wider blow distance.
Thank you.
Yeah, 2
Thomas.
inches blow distance.
I thought these here are even less because I thought these are 44, and then the smaller Yamahas they wind it down to 34. Yeah,
That's not a big call.
Doesn't mean
yeah.
we're
Kauai
around
KX series, 34 blow distance. That's why the gut was.
They're not quite sitting back, so the capstan's on a small amount of
Yes.
adjustment. So yeah, 45.
Maybe it's once of it.
We're at 45.
Oh, they're all
Some
off,
of the
yeah.
East Coast.
Yeah, so they're actually all
Yep.
go down.
typical Yemen, the old swell.
Do you
The
go
other
back
thing
to-
I always do is check the damper lift to the pedal, because the spoons is
Swell.
what you do last. So
Yes.
if there are any inconsistencies with damper lift to the pedal,
You
you
got
need to
to
fix those first. Yep.
I'm
That'll
just,
fix your
I'm
spoons.
making the assumption that the factory
Because
got it
you
right.
put your
Right.
hammer roll
These
where
are
your
pretty
damper
close
roll
actually
where.
off the
Yep.
pedal. Yeah, they're lifting quite consistently.
But if you're doing your wine bark or whatever,
Oh yeah,
that's it.
Mm.
You want to check that
Yeah,
first.
spoons is one of the last things you do.
It's
And
pretty
then
much
you do,
Yeah.
These have just gone up to 13.5k. They used to be 10.
have you got a
Got
couple?
one
Are you
that's half
gonna?
an
Do
hour,
you want me to do this adjustment?
I was just going to put it on the table. Yeah.
Or even
Well,
just
you
show
do it
how
on
you
the
set it
table.
up.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Just show how you
Right,
set
hang
it up.
on.
and-
Don't
Right,
know.
Nope. Okay. Uh-huh.
So
So you
we
can
want
sit
to
it wherever.
determine where we want this to lift. So are you happy with that? 18 mils, did you say, Eugene?
But we're going to go.
Yeah, maybe do it that way, probably.
Do it,
this
yeah,
way? Okay.
because
Yeah. You
we're
want
trying
it
to.
Do it half
We can
way.
go a little closer. So that is lifting a little early. So you can see
Yep.
the damper
Turnbuckle
lifting
to
before it's
halfway.
touching the block.
Yes.
So the damper's actually well off the
And
string
do
by
your
the time it
samples.
touches the block. So we can just do that
Chalk.
amount, or we can do
Yeah.
a little bit more if you want.
I'd go with.
If the lady wants it lighter, but you actually going to lighten these springs, aren't you?
Yeah, as well as. So let's just use that and go to
Okay.
exactly halfway.
Alright. Well, let's find one
Take
that's
it to the
correct. So
side,
Okay,
just
that one?
lighten your spring.
The
But
end.
hang on, we've got that adjustment.
Yep. Yep.
The end one?
I thought the M1 was good.
Yeah. Just starting to lift a little early.
Yep.
Well, let's just run with that.
Yeah, and then that one there was just a little
That
bit.
one? Yeah.
I do
That's a
top
goodie.
and
So there's a couple of samples. So we'll do a couple.
Everything else is early.
Everything.
Mm.
Is there nothing else?
Can you do Can you do the bendy trick through the whippings?
I don't bother with that.
No, but I mean to do the samples. I cannot get that tool to connect to
I
the
don't
spoon.
have one
I'm
on me.
just
I don't
like,
have it.
I'm trying to do the research.
yeah.
Have to ask Eugene for that. Do you do that?
That's a great tool. That's a great tool.
買ったでしょ。
買いました。グラムの方
They
で
go one way, and then go the other way. So you have to go to the right side of the flange.
あ、いえいえ、別にそれは。
And you have to bend it ever so fractionally to get it onto the.
From the front.
The spoons go that way in the base and that way in the tenor.
Yeah, you can find out here.
Yeah.
Hammers and
You have to get it to the right side of the flange.
yeah, otherwise you can't grab.
No, but that's so good. That's so accurate. You can.
Do you use that way?
I use that way.
Oh yeah. It's quite rare actually.
Really?
Yeah, only few people
Only,
can do
only
from
your
the
inspiration
Yeah, that's
probably.
right.
Yeah. But it's so good because you can get so much precise movement.
Yeah, and in the piano,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. Oh, that thing.
Oh,
I
don't
dare
you
someone
use
to
someone.
No way. No, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I need my tool.
Yeah, it's the Yuji's tool. Yuji's the one that Yuji's got, and we've got is
flat.
It's flat. So
Yeah.
One's a Yamaha.
so
With
it's
a
That
like-
just
it's
came
like
in
a
an old
tray.
tuner's regulated
Yeah,
kit.
you couldn't do it.
You can't grab it.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
Yeah. I reckon that was sold as a joke.
Yeah.
They just put a few random tools in on the catalogue for a joke. Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah, perfect.
There's only a turn where in particular, as long as the spoon meets the
Recycle piano. And then because you've got the thread, you can move the turnbuckle up and down on the thread. That doesn't
oh yeah.
Yeah.
See my recycled piano? Oh wow. But the beauty is that this here sits in. Yeah.
But where do you want it to sit? You want it as far that way. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, because what I'm doing now is I'm going to lift the
Well, I
Whitman,
stole the idea off.
and I want the key, the sample hammer to start moving at the same time as the damper. So we're going to adjust that, it's got to go down.
Yeah, next time everyone will have one. They'll be trying to figure out this. Much trying to use it.
That's good, that's good. Now let's check out the samples. That one. That's pretty good.
You know it's a good party.
That one there. Okay, so
That's different.
that's fractionally different, and
That's why I do top, middle and bottom.
that's quite different.
So you change it after you did this.
So what we could do, so this, to make it fit the piano,
Yeah.
we need to tweak the rail position fractionally. So we can do that section,
Tweaking the turnbuckle.
Crank it.
and then tweak that a little bit. But there's going to be a transition from here to here, because that is,
Well away.
it's well away, meaning that the strings are that way.
It makes me feel better because I have those.
Yeah. So
Where I'm
there's a
sli-
couple of things you can do. You can try mucking around with them.
I do
Well,
top,
it's
middle and
out.
bottom, and I do both.
Chucks this one. Apart from the little drawers.
No, don't.
Yeah, I'll wedge
So
my
if I set it,
hammer rail up
He's going to try again.
and do the same.
I hate that tool.
Still
So they meet together.
Oh look, I'm on the spoon.
Now try bending it
That was
accurately.
just about one of It's a nightmare.
Horrible
goes down that way.
Yeah. I've actually got one of those too.
So you're already at the end.
Am I? Okay, so
Oh, this is where you need to wedge it up.
Oh, so you run out of adjustment,
Yeah.
so then what I do is I just wedge the hammer rail like that,
yeah.
and now you get a whole lot more adjustment.
Yeah, I do both at the same time. So
I
that
do have my finger in there, which can't stay in there, so, but see what I mean? If you run out of adjustment, then you do that one.
which
Yeah. Graham's on it.
Well, we were just
so they're just
Now,
without winking.
just get that one right.
designed to be worked on, pianos, to some extent.
you're like English
So
cars.
you lift your hammer rail until.
Especially the
The
English
thing is, you
piano.
get flex in that.
I'm out of
Yeah,
adjustment.
we were just discussing.
I'm out of adjustment.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
I might have
those,
to bring it
Wait,
back. Hammer rail.
no, I didn't go far enough.
Bring it up until
no,
it
the
stops
damper's got to
winking.
go that way.
Alright, so
Yeah.
you need to go even farther
So
then.
we need more
Yeah,
on,
wedge
this is what
more
I say,
the
when you run
hammer
out of
rail.
adjustment on the
No,
turnbuckle.
no, hang on. Take it off for a minute, so just jump it off. Just jump it off, yeah. What's going on?
Oh, because we're well off of the,
That's miles away.
this was my earlier question
So
about how
that,
do you
that one,
approximate where the strings,
and that one, oh, you've adjusted it now.
Yeah.
But those two were working perfectly off
On the
the
piano.
samples.
Yep.
That one was lifting late, and that one was lifting late. And all I've tried to do is adjust the turnbuckle to this, and then I'll wedge the lift rail to correct these, and then run
Oh, I
along.
haven't seen that trick before.
It doesn't just.
I want this one to
Until it
work.
winks.
It is both.
Why is that? That's miles
There.
away. What's going on with that?
so that
We
one's,
have to adjust the turnbuckle.
yeah.
Why is that so far? That's like
Yeah, I know.
That's not
I think
lifting at all.
I think your rod must be bending.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Must have
You
flex
side
in the
along
lift
here.
rail.
Have a look along.
So lift to adjust
You've
the
got a big
lift rail.
file.
Oh, it's massive.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's good back in the piano.
I thought you had a dry stalk, but it was just a bent rod.
But that's,
Yeah.
it is bent, but if I manually do it with my finger to get this position here, so we come up a little bit with the rod until I'm getting that lifting, and that sample should be lifting about the same, and that sample
Just before winkage.
is not far off, very little difference, and that top sample,
Not even close.
what's
So
going
you might
on?
have to readjust.
Oh, I know what it is. It's probably,
There's a twist in
there's a
the,
twist in the piano.
yeah.
Yeah, so this,
Twist in your
so what we have to do is do a segment. So I could do the bass
Look at the bow.
for that.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
So that's pushing there.
Yeah.
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 But I mean, they're often tweaked and you jam in the treble
Yeah.
standards.
So
Yeah.
Some of the cheap
Yeah.
ones, the whole thing's warped. You know,
Yeah,
they're sitting up on that bracket
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
and they're regulated on that.
Turnbuckle.
So
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do about.
no, you can't do a bench
Yeah,
thing like this.
yeah.
So in that situation, I would I will quickly run through
do
the bass
one
with this,
section, do
this
it.
method. So I'll just put that on there. Get my two samples working.
Which
Just
So
so
they
I'm
meet
starting to
together.
lift the hammer and the damper.
I think Dave's keen.
That's pretty good. And that one
Careful.
is pretty good. But that one is not going to work. It's close, but it's
Readjust the turnbuckle.
yeah. Actually, that one is not far off. It's just got to go. That lever's got to go down a bit. Oh,
Would you do this
Yeah,
as
I
simple?
do
Yeah.
that.
And ideally,
Readjust
you'd
turnbuckle.
set a
Readjust.
start and end. at
it's
the
going
same
to
time.
transition gradually to that.
Yeah.
You can't. It's very hard to do. Yeah. But anyway,
And
so
so-
the process.
Oh, watch your toes, Robbie.
So you've got them starting to lift at the same time, right?
Yeah.
It's got a
Yeah.
straight backrest rail.
Don't run over my beat.
It's only the chassis, the
So-
the rail,
Metal to the
Dampers lifting fractionally earlier than the hammer.
it would probably go,
Just see that?
it would probably go.
So the
back
spoon goes
right?
into the action fractionally this way.
With straight.
Is that right? It stops winking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit more. Too
I
far.
like that. I like that. That's a cool tool.
Just past Graham's arm.
Yeah.
And that bloody screws way up there. Right. So that it wouldn't take it all out, would it? You wouldn't think.
My spoon
Maybe
bending
it's-
handle's
doesn't
flat.
have to be that
And because it's
accurate.
flat, I can. It's easier on your hand, I reckon.
Gives a go.
Gives a go.
Use that other tool.
You need the giz a go.
Oh, you need that one.
That's for beginners.
That one goes to the.
I've left it pushed on to that one I've just done.
You've done that one.
Yeah. So it's just a very, very slight bend of the spoon. You'll feel it. You'll watch it move. You'll watch it
Till
come
it
into
stops winking.
you know, the same movement at the same time.
Yeah.
And
And
you
then
probably
there.
want to keep that kind of level because if you
Yeah.
lift it up, you're adding
Yeah, and
load. to it.
So make sure it's, because I can't go below there or I'm around the, so this is, okay, so
Just
there.
down to lift about 50 or just under 50.
A little bit more, eh?
Yeah.
Well, that's the base. I wouldn't
Yeah,
mind
we
that.
wanted 45, didn't we? At the base, 35 treble bass, 45.
35 was at middle.
Has anyone seen the this gauge that pushes this way and compresses to measure?
I don't quite get.
Wait a minute, that's starting there, so you're down to 45 now.
Oh, yeah.
You know, working out.
I'm just making sure I'm in that slot
Because
there.
I'll tell you what I do. I'll adjust
I
one,
just wonder if I should go
put
in
it back in the
from,
piano, and get it, or find one that's right.
no, it's gotta be on, well, I suppose it doesn't matter where you
The action band.
could,
You can feel the
could do
difference
it.
between that and the ones beside it, right?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
You
lot
could
lighter.
measure it at the bottom, I
Just
suppose,
looking at
but,
consistency.
yeah.
If you measure at the bottom, just
You have to
do it
ever,
all
ever.
four.
Some of them
Yeah.
are too forward.
Yeah.
But I think he was measuring at the top there.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
He was up here.
Yeah, which that feels like it's heavier. That one's light, that's your
Yeah, that
45,
one's
right?
quite light.
And you feel the difference, you can actually feel the difference of the springs between there and there.
You know, with the one that's
the sample.
Yeah, some are really heavy.
or I might
aren't they?
do 4 or 5 samples, you know.
You feel the difference.
Very heavy.
Yeah.
Like you do a hammer line on a gram, you know.
The third one was,
and I
the
just
C
use
was
the-
the
Yeah,
one
that's
you
the one we were doing, yeah.
Or the B.
line them up and then push it back in. And then you might find